The first scream cut through the bright morning air like a blade, sharp and sudden, echoing across the open fields where the sun had just begun to climb. It wasn't the kind of scream that came from fear alone, but from humiliation, the kind that makes your chest burn even after the sound fades. On a quiet rural road bordered by cornfields and rusted fences, a group of boys laughed as a young farm girl stumbled to the ground, her books scattering in the dust. None of them noticed the old pickup truck slowing down at the edge of the road, or the woman inside gripping the steering wheel as something ancient and dangerous woke up inside her. Before the story truly begins, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for those who cannot stand alone, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Acts of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts that need them. The girl on the ground was named Maribel Crow, 18 years old, raised on a struggling farm where mornings started before sunrise and hands learned work before they learned rest. She wore worn jeans, boots too big for fashion but perfect for mud, and her hair was tied back in a simple braid. She'd always been quiet, always different, and in a town where sameness was safety, difference made her a target. The boys who surrounded her that morning had been doing this for months. They mocked her accent, her clothes, the smell of hay that clung to her even at school. They thought she was weak because she didn't fight back. They never asked why she never fought back. What they didn't know was that Maribel had a twin sister. Her name was Serafina Crow, and she had been gone for nearly a decade. Serafina left the farm at 18 with a duffel bag and a promise she couldn't explain. While Maribel stayed behind to care for their ailing father and the land that barely kept food on the table, Serafina disappeared into a world of discipline, fire, and silence. The letters stopped coming after the first year. Official records listed her as a contractor, then nothing at all. The town assumed she'd washed out, failed, or vanished by choice. Maribel knew better. She felt it in her bones, in the way she dreamed of her sister standing in the sun, stronger than anyone else, watching over her from far away. That morning, Serafina was home for the first time in 9 years. She had planned to surprise Maribel after dropping off paperwork at the county office. She wanted to see her sister's face light up the way it used to when they were kids chasing each other through fields at noon, pretending the farm was a kingdom and they were its guardians. Instead, she saw her sister on her knees in the dirt while boys circled her like vultures, their laughter loud in the daylight. Serafina stepped out of the truck slowly. She wore plain clothes, nothing that hinted at the years she had spent in places that didn't exist on maps. Her hair was shorter now, her posture sharp, her movements economical. Every instinct she had learned screamed at her to assess, to calculate, to act. But this wasn't a battlefield overseas. This was home, and that made it harder. The boys didn't notice her at first. They were too busy showing off, too convinced of their power. One kicked Maribel's notebook into the ditch. Another filmed with his phone, already imagining the laughs it would earn later. Maribel's face was red, but she didn't cry. She never cried in front of them. She just reached for her things, her hands shaking. That was when Serafina spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried, calm, controlled, the kind of voice that had given orders in chaos and expected obedience. The boys turned, annoyed, ready to mock another adult who would scold them and move on. What they saw instead unsettled them. Something in her eyes made their smiles falter. She wasn't angry in the way they understood. She was focused. The tallest boy scoffed, trying to reclaim the moment. He took a step forward, chest puffed out, still laughing. He didn't get far. Serafina moved with precision that felt unreal in the bright, ordinary day. She didn't strike in rage. She disarmed. She blocked. She used balance, leverage, and fear, all in a matter of seconds. One boy stumbled back. Another fell hard into the dirt, the phone skidding across the road. No one was seriously hurt, but every single one of them was shaken. The laughter died instantly, replaced by silence so thick it rang in their ears. She stood between them and Maribel, her body a shield without needing to say so. People from nearby houses had started to come out, drawn by the noise. Someone shouted that the sheriff was on his way. Serafina didn't flinch. She helped Maribel to her feet, brushing dirt from her shoulders the way she used to when they were children. Maribel stared at her, eyes wide, disbelief crashing into recognition. The sheriff arrived quickly, his face tense as he took in the scene. The boys tried to talk over each other, blaming, lying, minimizing. Serafina said very little. She didn't need to. The bruises on Maribel's arms, the torn notebook, the video still recording on the ground told the story for her. The sheriff knew the Crow farm. He knew Maribel, and he knew Bullies when he saw them. By the time it was over, the boys were sent home with warnings that would follow them, and the town buzzed with a story that grew larger with every retelling. Some said the woman was former military, others whispered special forces. By afternoon, someone had looked up a sealed commendation record tied to Serafina's name, and the truth leaked out in fragments. Delta Force. Maribel learned the full truth later that day, sitting on the porch as the sun hung high and warm above the fields. Serafina told her about the years of training, the missions she could never describe, the friends she lost, and the weight she carried every day. She didn't glorify it. She didn't boast. She spoke like someone who had seen too much and survived anyway. Maribel listened, tears finally coming, not from shame, but from relief. All those years of feeling alone, of thinking she wasn't worth defending, cracked open and let the light in. Her sister had always been watching, even from afar, and now she was home. The days that followed were different. The bullies avoided Maribel, but more than that, something inside her changed. She walked taller, she spoke more. The town, once dismissive, looked at the Crow sisters with new respect. Serafina didn't stay long. Her life didn't allow for roots, but before she left, she helped Maribel apply for scholarships, fix up the farm equipment, and most importantly, believe in herself. On her last morning, the sun rose golden over the fields, birds cutting through the clear daytime sky. The sisters stood together, hands dirty, boots on familiar soil. No words were needed. Some bonds don't require explanation. If this story is touching your heart as you listen, please remember you're not alone. Kindness matters. Courage matters. And sometimes the quietest people are carrying the heaviest burdens. Just before we reach the end, I have a special request for you. Please take a moment to comment below and share what this story made you feel or who it reminded you of. Your words could mean more than you realize to someone else reading them. Serafina drove away that afternoon, the truck disappearing down the same road where she had once stopped something terrible from happening. Maribel watched until the dust settled, then turned back to the farm. There was work to do. There was life to live. And for the first time, she believed she deserved every good thing that might come. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you of the power of standing up for others, please like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement helps spread messages of hope and kindness to more people who need them. And don't forget to subscribe to Acts of Kindness for more stories that remind us what humanity can be at its best.